Many people think that I have rose-tinted glasses on with relation to China, but honestly, I do try to be objective. Wherever you are, welcome to my take on China. I'm going to try and be a little less critical of the USA and a lot more positive about China here in this particular one. And before I start on this, which is not one topic, but a series of different topics, can I please ask that you hit the like button? Please share this and feel free to share widely. You don't need my permission for that, you already have it. And check the subscribe button. If you were once subscribed, it's possible you may not be subscribed now. Life here in China is good, but that's the last thing I expected when I moved to China, was that life would be better than the West. I've lived in the UK and Australia. When I was in the UK, when I was in both of them, I had a good job, good income. I drove nice cars. I lived in a nice house that I'd bought. However, I never owned the house. The bank did. I never really owned anything. I had a great income for most of my adult life, and I had permanent debts until I was made redundant, and I walked out of a 17-year career with a large payout that allowed me 1 year later to come to China completely debt-free. Now, people argue that I don't own a home now, but the truth is I do. I own the bricks and the mortar. The country of China and the people of China own the land, and that's fair enough, but I have the use of this land for the next 65 years, and I'm already 66 years old, so I can't see that being a problem. Now, if I were a younger man, it's still not a problem, because when the land comes up for renewal, as long as it's still my home or my family's home, the land use will be renewed for another 70 years for a nominal fee. The land use registration for this one was 30,000 RMB for 70 years. That's about $4,000. That was paid just before I bought it, so I have a long time to go. There are very low utility charges in China because the people own the land. There's no property tax, or rates as they're called in the UK and Australia. So once you own your property, you have it free and unencumbered. If you use water, electricity or gas, of course you pay for it, but by the amount you use. If you turn it off at the tap and stop using it, for example, if you're away on a holiday, it's no charge. There are no standing charges for the delivery of utilities to your home. My overall expenses for a 3-bedroom home, including my Wi-Fi, electricity, gas and water, have never once exceeded 600 RMB. That's about $80 a month, US. My phone is about 100 to 150 a month to use. It's never more than 22 US. But that's usually a lot less than that. Talking about housing, a lot of people say, but there are ghost cities. And it appears to be true until you find out that it isn't. First of all, even if there are, so what? There are no homeless people, since everyone has a registered address, and building them keeps people in work. It keeps the economy going and ensures that there will always be housing available. But the truth is a little more nuanced than that. Ghost cities do not exist. What does exist is forward planning. Forward planned cities. If you visit any of the ghost cities that were reported a few years ago now, you'll find they're occupied, they're thriving. They'll have trains and metro systems, as well as highways coming in and out of them. I've personally seen a couple of them on my travels, and they're unrecognizable a couple of years after they're seen as ghost cities on the internet. One of the larger ones of them is Xiong'an, which is the satellite city of Beijing. There are currently, as of now, 2 million people living there, which makes it bigger than most US cities. However, there will eventually be 8 million. That's the plan. That's 2 years ago, that was just a construction site, nothing more. So let's move on to a different topic. Does China exaggerate its GDP? The answer is no. China does not exaggerate its GDP. The World Bank monitors this and usually states that China is actually quite conservative, more than exaggerative about it. It's impossible to lie about one country's exports when every other country in the world is reporting its imports. Think about that. Everybody would be lying if China was lying. So who's making this stuff up? Channels where a Chinese-born American tells you everything that's bad about China are very often labeled with New Tang Dynasty TV, or NTD, or Epoch Times. They're all funded by Falun Gong. And we could talk about Falun Gong for a long time. They are a cult. They do receive US government funding, and they are negative on China. I've made a couple of videos about them. You can watch and form your own opinions. But that's most likely to be the source of much of the negative information on China. If it's not, it's people who have lived in China and left for some reason. Some of them were expelled, such as Peter Dahlin, a Swedish spy. He's the founder of Safeguard Defenders, which is an NGO funded by the NED, and they made up stories of these secret police stations. Now, if you want to know if any of those stories were true, try and find a case where a single person has been charged, convicted, or deported. Some have been arrested but never charged, or sent back to China. The involvement in them isn't there. So either Dahlin was lying in his reports, or the police in every country where he said they exist are either incompetent or complicit in Chinese spying on their populations. I know which is true. Dahlin was lying. Then there's the vloggers who sit in a studio on the other side of the world, sometimes usually in the US, showing clips of China from 10, 12, or even 15, 20 years ago. Or one of clips with no context, something the sound has been removed from. Of course, they then tell you what their interpretation of the situation is, but they don't have on-the-ground experience or information. There's no one reporting for them. They're playing to an audience that wants to be willfully ignorant on China. Many of those people left China around 2016 when the rules were changed. In order to legally work in China from 2016, they needed a clean police background, they needed a university degree, they were teachers, they needed a recognized foreign language teaching certificate, and 2 years recognized experience, and all the documentation had to be notarized. A lot of people who were teaching then left. Those of us that stayed were fully qualified. We had our documentation notarized and accepted by China. Those that didn't, if they're your source of information on China, ask them, where did they go to university? And verify it. Do they have a clean police record? Verify it. If they refuse to verify these simple things, it's likely they were lying to the Chinese government until the notarized checks started. And if they were lying to the Chinese government, they were also lying to their employers, as well as their clients and their students. Now, if it's likely that they were lying to most of them, they're probably lying to you too. So moving on to democracy. There's no democracy in China, is there? The political scene is a big question. The best thing I can do is point people to the Edelman Trust Barometer. That's a US institution, highly respected, and for many years in a row it's conducted research on several different countries, and it lists them in terms of trust in government, trust in media, and trust in the future. Every year that they've reported, at least every year I've been paying attention to it, China's trust in government, trust in media, and trust in the future is the highest in the world. So it really doesn't matter what US politicians or media think about China's system. If the people of China like it and trust it, what's the problem? As I've often said, if you want to know what's going on in China, come to China, ask the Chinese people. They'll tell you much better than I can. Take a look at the number of people on Xiaohongshu who've done just that, and even better, although I'm no big fan of his, iSpeed just did it. And look what happened to him. He got an additional 2 million followers after just a few days in China. 2 million. The system of governance here is something I could spend hours, maybe even weeks writing about, but the bottom line is simple. The people, through the National People's Congress, the NPC, tell the government how they want to be managed. The party, the CPC, the Communist Party of China, then manage the country in the way that the people ask them to. The NPC is made up of almost 3,000 individuals, which represent minorities. The minorities make up 8% of the population, but 12% of the government, and they autonomously control over 60% of the land. It's made up of people from industries and business sectors such as medical, military, academia. The delegates to the NPC are all volunteers. They're not allowed to solicit donations. It's illegal to offer them donations, and every single one of them is elected to the role. This group, the NPC, is the highest legislative organ in China. They have the right to elect and remove officials at all levels, including the premier and the president. All this is verifiable. It's written in the Constitution of China and it's in the Constitution of the NPC. There's also a Chinese People's Political Consultative Conference, the CPPCC, which meets at the same time as the NPC, hence the naming of the annual gathering, the 2 sessions. They meet in Beijing in the first quarter of every year. Just a few weeks ago they did that, and they present the work report and the budget, as well as the forecast for the future. So people say the politicians are forced to be loyal to the CPC or they get locked up. I've heard people saying this. Well, political infighting exists. Of course there are differences of opinions. Show me a group of people who don't have differences. Now the important thing in China's governance is that no matter which direction a group wishes to go, they must prove to the people of the NPC that the direction is beneficial to the people. Every member of the government swears allegiance not to the Communist Party, but to the Constitution of China and the people of China. Members of the Communist Party do swear allegiance to the party, but they swear to serve the people first and foremost. And I've linked their constitution here too. You can read that for yourself. There are inevitably people who think China can do better. There are some who think China's heading in the wrong direction. There are some who want more progress and others who want more conservative steps. There are some who want to take Taiwan back and some who want to wait until Taiwan is ready to come back. There are some who want more open markets and reforms, and there are some who want a reform go back to full-on Marxism. This is why the NPC is so important. Everything they discuss at the top level has already been through months, if not years, of debate behind the scenes, so that by the time it reaches a vote, it's 100% certain to be passed. Hence, the West call it the rubber stamp parliament. But nothing could be further from the truth. They've all discussed it for months. Now, there's a lot more to my rose-tinted view of China, but this is a good starting place. If you want more information, you can either send me an email, the address is in the bio, or you can ask questions in the comments. I still read every single comment that I get. And here's another thing that's worth noting. I get accused of removing comments all the time. It's rare, but I do sometimes remove them. If you're rude, abusive, repetitive, and by that I mean I've already answered your question several times before, I'll remove the comment. If you're attacking me with names like page shill, CCP shill, or any of the usual tropes, I'll remove the comment, and if you persist, I'll remove you from the channel. But if you have genuine questions, you'll get genuine answers. If you're just trolling me for effect, then I'll warn you once or twice, and then I'll remove you after a couple of warnings. I'm not wasting my precious time on idiocy, but I'm very happy to invest my time in telling you the truth about this country. Now, if you want to check that I'm telling the truth about this, take a look at any of my previous videos, scroll down through the comments and see how many I haven't answered. You won't find many. And if they are there, it's possibly because YouTube hasn't let me see them. I usually read through about 300 to 500 messages a day. I put a like and a heart on most of them, and I respond to about 100 or so. How many vloggers actually do that? Now, don't do this for the money. I have a pension. I retired from work. Neither the Chinese government, the CPC, or the dreaded CCP pay me to do this. You do. The people who read my articles on Substack, watch my videos on YouTube, and especially those who like and share them, which is why I like you to like and share them. If you keep doing that, I promise to keep doing this. Thanks once again for watching my take through my rose-colored glasses on what I see in China on a daily basis. I'll see you next time. Bye for now.